What is going on, guys? HappiDaze here, and in today's video we're just going to do a quick little showcase of using the new TM Luffy in some training forest, specifically the Blackbeard training forest. It has a lot of gimmicks that the TM Luffy helps solve, so I figured going through will just kind of show you a little bit of what he can do. We're going to have to go through 10 stages at first, doing just some swaps just to charge some of our specials, so we'll kind of talk about my general thoughts of the unit while we're doing those first 10 stages, and I'll just show you how you can very easily wave clear most of the stages once you get past level 10. So obviously we have to talk real quick. If you watched my video yesterday, you probably saw that I went up to 7 multis, and you're probably saying, hey, you went up to 7 multis, but you got 2 Hiyori, so how did all of a sudden Luffy appear in your account? Well, full confessional time here. I decided to end up going to 11 because I like Luffy characters. He's probably my favorite character in One Piece, and I probably shouldn't have went that far, but I went to step 11. I ended up pulling him actually on step 10. But I wanted to see if I could also grab Nami, and there was a guaranteed new character on multi number 11, so I went there anyway, and of course I got another Hiyori. So after playing with him, I thought he was going to be better in PvP, and we'll kind of talk about that as we go through the first 10 stages, but unfortunately he hasn't been that great for me so far in PvP, so I'm still going to do some teams, see if I can figure out what might work for him, but it's just his utility isn't that much, and his base rumble abilities aren't really that great. So it makes it really tough to fit him into teams, especially with the high cost. But for PvE, he's actually really good. So just a quick programming note: this is a team that we're going to be using. I am using Hiyori on the batch, so we can kind of show you what she can do. I am using the Anniversary Zoro and Sanji because they're fantastic, and they can turn everyone to Free Spirit, which will help with Luffy's special that gives different attack buffs if you're a quick or Free Spirit unit. So obviously some aren't. So this will just make sure that everyone becomes quick Free Spirit, even if they're not there already. Brook is going to help kind of replace what you'd use Nami for in the TM, which is a Despair Reducer. And we have Nami and Karina just because I want to throw Nami on the team and see what happens. Mostly too because you have to be able to have 3 units of the Straw Hat crew plus Yamato and a couple other characters if you want to be able to trigger Luffy's super type. So in order to do that, I just brought those characters on as well. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. I'm not going to do anything those first real 10 stages except just swapping Zoro and Sanji just to get their gauge up. It's probably not even necessary, to be honest with you, just because the content itself isn't really that bad because this team just does so much damage. But just so we can just kind of make sure that we get through there, we'll just go ahead and go through these first 10 steps. So as I said, I've been trying to use Luffy, especially on the PvP side, and one of the biggest issues I have is that he's kind of split into 2 different characters, right, in terms of what his abilities can buff. So he has a fighter buff, which is really, if you have 5 or more fighters on the squad, then you end up getting a pretty big heal in a large range, which is great, but maybe it's just my box, but when I was trying to put together a good pure fighter team, I was just having a lot of difficulty. There wasn't a lot of good characters that were there. I thought maybe I could team him up with the Otama unit, who's a Free Spirit fighter, and maybe do like a heal off and kind of build a defensive team there. But even with that, because there's just not a lot of defense on the team, it just makes it extremely hard to withstand long amounts of time in the match. And of course, you know, if you're bringing Luffy, you're not going to be able to bring, and Otama, you're not going to be bringing a lot of big damage dealers there. So what I was finding is, while I was getting pretty deep into matches, I wasn't having the damage output I really was looking for in order to be able to go ahead and easily beat the content there, beat the PvP content there. So I'll still kind of play around with it, see if I can find anything that might work there. The good news is right now our Super Switch has been completely charged, so that means that we can go ahead and just basically quick tap all the way to stage 11 here. You do get slot bonded 1 turn on here. It doesn't matter, you can go right through it, and there'll be another turn a little bit later when we're facing an L, where I could technically throw paralysis support on to make it a little bit quicker. But I'm kind of lazy, so I didn't. I don't think I have any supports except maybe stat boosters on all these characters, so you can obviously make this team much more ideal. But I just want to show you how broken this team could be, especially when they're able to easily kill a green final boss, who you would think that, you know, a full, almost full quick team wouldn't be able to do that. So found it really interesting. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it a little bit too and kind of see what some of this batch can do and how they can really shine later on. As you'll probably see, even though I do take some damage with the double Luffy captains, I'm getting almost a 10k heal every turn. I was a little nervous of how this would end up working in terms of, one of the specials for Hiyori is that if you heal 30k before the special launches, you get some additional buffs. If you have double Luffy captain, or maybe even one Luffy captain, you're probably doing 4,500 heals each time, which is just nuts in terms of just stalling one turn. You can do 4,500 damage. So, yeah, crazy stuff. His heal is just ridiculous if you have two of them, and he'll easily be able to get you through a lot of content there. So on stage 11, I'm just going to go ahead and just kill all these guys because I just frankly don't have to stall. So we'll go ahead and get rid of all of them. Going on to stage 12, do the same thing. This is where I mentioned now, where he gives you 1 turn of paralysis. I could have threw a paralysis reducer on there. I could also use one of the Luffy specials or super types to actually do something, but I'm not going to bother just because it's just an L. He doesn't have a lot of health, and even if you hit with 1 or 2 units, it's just enough to kill him. So yeah, no big deal there. We're going to go ahead and swap our Zoro Sanji here, just so we can get a little buff here. There is some tap timing stuff that they want you to do here, so you can see there's some good and great barriers that are there. So we'll go ahead and start off with the great barriers to break Kaku, and then we'll kill Lucci here. And I'm just going to stall 1 turn here, and then kill, I think it's Jabra, if I remember correctly, on the next turn. So yeah, nice and easy. And what I'm going to do on this turn is I'm going to actually showcase the Luffy super type power, right? So in this case, you're completely special binded, slot bound. But what you can do is if you lose his super type, you can reduce your special bind duration by 6 turns, and you do a delay through immunity, and then you also do a boost damage as well, and turn your characters into super quick. Crazy good super type. It will make almost everyone on this team, actually I think it will make everyone on this team super quick, which just let me do more damage. I am going to stall here just a little bit, just because I want to make sure that I leave at the stage with 1 on the slot bind, just so I don't have slot bind going forward. But as you can see, really, really, really simple, and it just breezes through content, especially if the boss that you're facing is a strength boss. It literally will just melt right through them, which is awesome. This is where I'm going to use the Brook special. So like I mentioned, I didn't pull Nami from the batch, but she has the ability to reduce despair, and she also has the ability to give some orb and slot effects as well. But we really just need Brook here to go ahead and take care of that despair for us. And then just to give us some more damage, we're just going to swap Zoro Sanji just so we can get that extra little buff there. And then we'll go ahead and just kill everyone here without too much problems. And you can see, I mean, it's just the combination of Luffy and Sanji and this Luffy are just ridiculous. If you have them, it's just going to make things so much easier. I could definitely see this boss being used in some future content in terms of Kazuna bosses, maybe, especially if there's a strength boss there. This team could definitely see some play. So if you notice, I got poison here, 99 turns of poison, but luckily for us, we have Hiyori, who removes all poison and blind as well. So we'll go ahead and use her. We'll go ahead and swap Zoro Sanji just so we can get an additional buff, and you'll see we still have 3 turns of paralysis. And this is where our Luffy comes in, right? He removes special blind, paralysis burn by 6 turns, heals 300k HP, and then turns your top and bottom rows into rainbow slots. Gives a bunch of attack and just makes you just insane. So it's just an absolutely awesome special. When you use it, you'll just be able to literally just melt bosses and characters without much of a problem here. So on stage 17, we're just going to go ahead and do a swap and kill. They do have a rainbow shield, but obviously the rainbow shield, with the amount of damage that we're outputting, it really doesn't matter much. I think it ends up canceling, I forget if it was like 30-40%, something like that. So just by doing that swap there, I'm able to easily just kind of go ahead and kill these guys without much issue here. And the fact that you can keep getting tandem slots is just crazy. It's awesome, and that's why a lot of people, when they first read the description for Zoro Sanji, they were like, "Oh my god, he's like ridiculous," and he is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead and swap and kill again. The thing that's awesome here is that you probably saw with that HP cut, I end up getting that captability of Luffy, where if you get below 30%, he kind of automatically launches your special. And what that does for us is we had the orb lock from last turn, so we end up getting 2 more turns of orb lock, and it locks those rainbow orbs for us. I am using the whale shark ship, but if I use the Tesoro ship, it would do even more crazy damage. So it's just kind of nuts, just the amount of total damage you can do here. Stage 19, I'm just going to go ahead and just do a simple swap and kill. They do have a debuff here against any type slots, but lucky for us, because of this team, we don't have to worry about that at all, because we have a combination of rainbow and tandem slots, so it just makes it easy to just melt right through these guys without too much of a problem at all. And then we finally get to the last stage against Blackbeard himself. So it's going to be pretty easy. We're just going to go ahead and swap to Nami, just because she's a strength unit, right? So she automatically has advantage against him. And we'll also go ahead and swap our Zoro Sanji, who also have the super swap. And then we'll basically just use the rest of our specials just to make sure that we absolutely destroy Blackbeard. So, I mean, as you can see, it's just the amount of times you can launch the Luffy special is just crazy. And it reduces 6 turns each time you launch it. So technically, if you were to have, 2 Luffys, a super type, and as well as the captain ability, I mean, you could remove, at least on the special bind side, you could probably remove, 6, 12, 18, like almost 30 turns of just special bind, and then probably another 18 of the burn and paralysis that's there. So I mean, it's just crazy what he can do, and that's why I was so excited when I first read about the unit. I was like, oh, this is a unit that I really want to get. I mean, you have some TM units, for example, like Green Bull, who I saw, and I just kind of really wasn't that impressed with him, so I didn't even bother pulling for him. But I really like this Luffy. I think he does a lot of stuff good. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to show you the final tap, because I think I'll do too much damage with Nami and Karine to even get there. So I apologize for that, but you can see he just melts through the damage, right? I haven't even attacked with any red units, and I've already killed them with 4 orbs. Now, granted, this forest isn't the hardest one out there, right? There are plenty of other much more difficult forests out there, but this is at least one that's a little bit challenging. It has poison, which is hard. It has paralysis on a bunch of stages, which is hard. And it just shows you how good this character really is and what they can do. So if you're wondering, are they worth it? I think they're definitely worth it on the PvE side. I definitely think they'll see some play. On the PvP side, I'm not as sold. Like I said, I'll keep doing some teams just to see if I can see if there's a combination that really works well to get them to synergize either with a fighter team or a quick team. But at least for right now, it looks like, he'll be mostly used on PvE, at least in my opinion. So thank you guys so much for watching. In the next upcoming days, I'll be coming out with some treasure map teams as well to get you prepared. Treasure map now, I believe, is in 3 days. Yep, about 3 days left. So we'll have some teams, both if you pulled the New Year's Legends, if you pulled on the banner, as well as if you didn't, right? Maybe some alternatives that you can use if you didn't get lucky and pull any of those New Year Legends on that banner. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, be kind to each other. Thank you.